Like, I don't know if people know, you've been like, since I met you 7, 8 years ago, you always had an idea to almost see what's happening in the future, dog. Like,
I, man, that's always been it's three type of insights. It's hindsight to look in the past, it's insight to look at the present, and it's foresight to look in the future.
mm,
And I use all three of them.
wow. Wow. Yo, you've been talking about AI, and I had a conversation with you probably about 2 years ago, and you was telling me about this thing AI, like how you go into businesses, they consulting with you to learn how to incorporate AI in their business. Like, how did you know 2 years ago, or did you know it would be as big as it is? So I was out Switzerland, out Davos with Shadi, Troy, and the Earn Your Leisure gang, and the this is the largest gathering of billionaires. And the main focus, can anybody guess what the main thing they was talking about out Switzerland for an entire 7 days with 200 plus billionaires in attendance? All they was talking about was artificial intelligence. So
Mm-hmm.
my thing is, I'm like, bro, how do you be knowing? Like, I want to know that secret. Like, is it something? What are you studying? Like, what is it? What's the game? Am I missing something? Because I'm talking about, you talked about it a couple years ago. Then I went to the Davos, and they say, yo, this is the future. They're talking about I don't know if it's in 5 or 6 years, but it's going to pump $15 trillion in the economy, AI. I said 15 trillion. That's a different world. So I'm trying to figure out how to get a piece of that pot, get a piece of the pie.
Yeah, I mean, I remember when 2018, I came up with that saying, interact with opportunity, don't react to success.
Mm.
Right? And it became one of like my mission statements on how I wanted to move throughout life. And I wanted to transfer that on to the people, right? Well, I've always seen our people be reactionary, right? We react when things are popping, when it's already a standard. And I was like, no, interact with the opportunity. In order to do that, you got to be a great observer. So you got to look
Mm.
for signals, right? You got to look for signals of change, right?
Wow.
And when you look for signals of change, it's like seeing your first Uber vehicle and knowing that something has changed, and then you go and invest into Uber, and then all of a sudden you're a multimillionaire. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
When as a futurist, that's always the thing. Where everybody else is not paying attention to it because they're in survival mode and they're focused on what they're doing now. They're not thinking about innovation and what's about to occur. I definitely, at this point in time, I can consider myself to be an expert in many fields, and that was not something that I always would have been comfortable saying, right? But now that I've been doing it for long enough, now that there's a track record built up, right, I can definitely consider myself to be an expert in multiple fields. And so now my goal is to share that expert. If you got a 17-year-old to 19-year-old child, of some of the most valuable skill sets that you're going to need for the future, because 70-90% of jobs don't even exist yet, right? One of the major things we're teaching people is how to utilize your imagination and your creative functions, because creativity is something that you do. It's like a muscle. The more you build it up, the better you can think in that capacity. So the goal has always been able to transfer, the skill sets. Thank you. The goal has always been to transfer these skill sets. When we understood that this was a time where we can create high-level conversations, we did it because we understood that people want meaningful change. People want meaningful content. So we say, okay, let's give them that. The right idea at the right time equals success. You got a podcast, but you don't know how to automate that podcast to where you can decrease the amount of time that you're spending on certain things. You have a business, but you don't know how to get more leads into that business, right? You don't know how to get more people, more traffic flow to that business. And the simplest thing is you go look at how many people that flow through your business on the average, right? And what percentage conversion. So we say, okay, what tools are out there that can help me get more leads? Because the more leads I get, more business I get. What processes do I got in my company to where I'm spending money on? If I can automate that, we can decrease the money and the time. So when I save money, I make money. You know what I'm saying? Because now I have more money to reinvest into the business somewhere else that allows me to grow, right? When I looked at Midjourney, before anybody else was talking about Midjourney, I was in the beta stages. Why? Because I always do research on what is to come. So that requires you to do the leg work. But now you don't have to do that because I did that. So now the goal is to be able to share that knowledge, right? Have those one-on-ones. Some people they decide to actually tap in with me to where they can sit in to where it's a small and they can ask questions and we can consult them and we can teach them how to do it. Right? Tonight, we're going to be going over human intelligence and AI. We're going to be telling you the top tools we use. We're going to be sharing a lot of information on how you can automate your business, enhance yourself, and make money for now and in the future. So there's this fear that most people have. I see that ChatGPT is down, right? ChatGPT goes on and off. They most likely, it could be two things happening. They could be down because it requires too much processing power, or they could be down because they're doing a system-wide update. It depends. Or they could be down because somebody that hacked them. The beautiful thing is ChatGPT not the only one. You can go utilize Gemini, right? You can utilize Claude, right? You can utilize Perplexity. There are multiple different ones, and each one we can break down and show you the value of it, because the goal ain't to just for you to talk, to jump into these different tools, because how many people tried a new tech tool and they like, man, this too much for me. The goal is to know exactly, and this is why we focus on the human intelligence part. The goal is to know yourself and your vision and the clarity of your mission. And once you do that, and we can connect you to that, then we can tell you exactly what you should use in order to get there faster. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's the goal. It don't matter what your business is. The goal is about finding clarity, right? In this day and age, clarity is probably the most, communicating clearly. I would have to rank that as top 3 skill sets. What is prompting, but not communicating clearly your desired outcome? When you're managing people, what are you doing? You're prompting them, right? To try to get clear communication across based on who they are, based on who you are, and what you want them to do to manage them to get an intended goal to be successful. This is the human enhancement era. The intelligence enhancement. We done went through all of the body enhancements. They done got their ass done. You know what I'm saying? They done got their foreheads done. They done got their lips done. You know what I'm saying? Brothers is getting their stomach done, their bodies done. Man, they ain't got everything done except they mind. You know what I'm saying? This is the mental enhancement era, man. So now think about the things that you can do well, and then think about the things you can't do. Now, instead of you being defeated because you can't get that done, you now have machines that can automate that. You don't need to have that degree. You don't need to know how to do graphic design. You just need to know how to explain your idea very well. You don't need to know how to code. You need to know how to communicate with the machine so that the machine can get it done. You can have an idea for something, but can you break that down all the way? Now your goal is to figure out how to use the tools of the world that simulate intelligence in different degrees, right, of abilities, and now you managing that. Okay, this create pictures. Well, let me figure out how I can manage this in my business, because I'm going to need that for articles. I'm going to need that for advertisement. I'm going to need that for thumbnails, right? I'm going to need that for content, right? So now let me figure out what I really need in my business. Now let me figure out the best tool for that business. Now it goes to a point where you can hire somebody to do that, or you can do it, or you can take a step back and say, okay, how do I decrease the amount of steps to execution? Well, that's called AI, automated integration, right? So how do you automatically integrate these things? Y'all type in AI first of all. Make sure y'all get registered if you're not. Because I know so many people, and I don't see how we're living in the era of great technological abundance, and you have a business and you don't want to learn how to enhance your business and your flow and your process. That to me it's a weird thing if the whole goal of business is to create profit, right? Or sometimes it is when you have social entrepreneurship to do it good. Why wouldn't you want to know how to do more, to do it better, right? Even if it's just to learn about yourself. Why wouldn't you want to enhance that process of self-assessment?